As Iva said, I'm actually here from Paralelní Polis, where 2 years ago, we founded a Makers Lab, a 3D printing makerspace. Right now, you don't see any 3D printers anymore because we moved 2 weeks ago. It was too small for us, so we had to leave to different premises. But Makers Lab was co-founded here. We're 2 co-founders. 2 years ago, we bumped into guys from Paralelní Polis who were founding the whole concept. And we figured we would move in with our 3D printers and we start doing our 3D printing here. Today, I'm going to be talking about how 3D printing will democratize manufacturing, how if one day everyone will have a 3D printer on his desktop, which I believe that one day it will happen, will lead into interesting ways of being able to manufacture things ourselves. Okay, what we do in Makers Lab, we're doing a lot of teaching. We're doing workshops where we teach people how to 3D model, how to create stuff. We're helping to create from digital to physical. We're teaching how to use 3D printers. We're teaching how to assemble your own 3D printer, open source, open hardware 3D printers. Who has seen a 3D printer before? Is there someone who hasn't seen a 3D printer? You all know what 3D printing is, right? I'll just repeat the very basic concept. 3D printing is manufacturing where you are adding layers of material on the top of each other, and that's how you build your objects. It has certain advantages and disadvantages, but that's the main concept. It's not, printing text on a paper, it's manufacturing stuff. There is different 3D printing technologies. I'm not going to go into the detail today, into the technical stuff of different materials and different 3D printing processes and technologies, but I want you to know that there is various materials that can be 3D printing, and depends on the actual technology that is used. And it's all being worked on, so there's new materials and new processes and technologies coming up. Back to this one. This is a violin that we 3D printed in Makers Lab on a desktop 3D printer like this. Okay? So I believe that the future of manufacturing is going to be local and on demand, and I'm going to explain what it means. In my view, the 3D printing is leading into decentralized manufacturing, because today you can buy a 3D printer for a couple of $100, let's say, I don't know, $600 or $1,000, depending on what kind of printer or a 3D printer kit you're buying, and whether you're assembling your own printer or whether you're buying already assembled printer. And it means that anyone, or almost anyone, can buy a 3D printer now and can start producing stuff, right? And producing stuff with a machine that produces for yourself. You can have a workshop at home or next to your house, and you can have tools and you can start producing stuff as well. But 3D printer is a machine that's building the stuff for you. Okay, so you don't have to be present while it's being manufactured. That's an important thing. We're also going to be talking about digital distribution of files, or of the products and things, because if you guys have a 3D printer at home and I have one, and I want to share a thing with you, I can send it to you by email, which is quite interesting, because we are used to, or we are used to, thanks to internet, we're used to share texts or videos or music, and thanks to 3D printing, we can start sharing things. What is why I use the word on demand? I believe that the future is going to be of producing stuff, or you buying stuff. I think that in the future, when you buy something, it's not going to exist yet. It's going to be manufactured on demand only after you make an order. Okay, like in the past, and we're going to go to there later. It's also very flexible to 3D print some different kinds of stuff. So on one machine you can make almost anything you want. So let's start with the traditional manufacturing and how it works. You're used to huge factories somewhere in Asia. From the crypto world, we can say centralized manufacturing somewhere in Asia, in China mainly, right? And today, if you want to make a product, you just have it manufactured in a factory in Asia, and you wait for, I don't know, a couple of months in order to be to manufacture the product. It takes a long time, and also it has to be shipped to your premises. So you are distributing all the products, and you're also manufacturing in high volumes. So you're making, I don't know, hundreds of thousands of pieces of your product. Then you ship it on these kind of containers. If you're a big company, you need a lot of containers if you have huge volumes, and you ship it all over the world. And then you need to stock them. You need to stock it locally, and then you're able to sell it. So now with 3D printing, this is all going to change. Okay? I believe that with 3D printing, we're going to go back to local manufacturing. Like in the past, you see the artisans, they were located local, close to your house in your hometown. And there was many of them. And it was all like distributed manufacturing. And they were also working this way. You came to the artisan and you said, I need something, and they produced it for you. You paid for it, and they said, it's going to be ready in a week, and you came for it and took it, right? And that's the way I think it's going to be with 3D printing. Here you see a desktop 3D printer on a table, and there's people, more and more people now owning a 3D printer, and they can manufacture anything they want on their desktop these days, okay? What it means for the distribution, it means that there's no longer a container ship that needs to cruise the seas in order to deliver the goods. You are digitizing the way you distribute your products. 2 years ago, I think 2 or 3 years ago in the summer, they shipped a 3D printer to the ISS, International Space Center, and they tried how the 3D printer would work out in the zero G, in zero gravity. And They used a regular desktop FDM printer that prints plastics, and they tested it, and it worked well. So today, if an astronaut has a problem on ISS, they call, hey, Houston, I got a problem, and I lost my screwdriver or whatever. And Houston says, okay, we're sending you the tool by email, and you can use it. So that's very powerful. Now the cost of distribution of things for you with 3D printing equals to 0. There's no cost. You're distributing things the same as you're distributing software. So that's a big change. I was showing the stock that, for example, huge companies like Amazon, they have huge stocks, and their know-how is how to shift it back and forth and so on. With 3D printing, there's no stock. Okay, there is only a database, and you can store anything, any model, or any product you want in a database. You can argue that you still need the base materials, right? You will still need the materials you build your products or your things off, and that's right. So you're going to still have to be able to maintain a stock of the raw material. This is what I see as like an office where you can print your things. In Maker's Lab, we have something like this. We had printers that are not as pretty as these. We're using open source desktop printers. They print just fine, but we realized that if we want to scale the production, we need more than just 2 3D printers on a table. I'm gonna get in the next slide. I'm gonna get into how we are solving this problem. But here I want to say one more thing, that today the major desktop 3D printing is FDM, and you're basically extruding plastics through a hot nozzle. And this is not the only thing that you can print, not only plastics in your desktop. There's a lot of companies that are working on desktop 3D printers that can print out of even metals or other materials. So I think today it's still early days of desktop manufacturing, desktop 3D printing. I think in the future it's going to change, and we're going to be able to really print more and more products that are now manufactured in China. We cannot print electronics, obviously, but I think the future of that is that we one day will be able to do it. The question is only when it's gonna happen. I always compare today's desktop 3D printers to desktop computers, right? When I was a small boy, I had a Commodore 64. You guys remember that 8-bit computer? And I was playing games on it, so it was good for games. I used it a lot, and I also could start playing with the basic programming, and I could learn actually BASIC. That was the programming language. So I did a small program. It was like education, where it was asking me for the capital cities of each state around the world, and I had to answer. Anyway, so this is where we are right now. From Commodore 64, it was just for games. You couldn't do anything else with it. And today's desktop 3D printers are mostly people when ask me what should I print, okay? When kids come to Maker's Lab, they're always very creative. They know, they're like, Thomas, and can I print a horse? Can I print a house? Can I print anything? I said, yeah, sure, you can. You just need to learn how to 3D model or download your model. And with the computer, it was the same. I was able to program, but I was not able to do more stuff with it because it didn't have the capabilities. Today's desktop computers, we're working with them every day. We can do almost anything with it. At the time, no one could imagine that we'll be, that text editors will start and this will be, taking off and we're going to use the computer for everything. And I think what's going to happen in the future, that's you're going to be equipped with a big 3D printer at home, and you're going to be able to manufacture almost anything, including clothes. That's where it's heading. However, if you need to create more stuff, not only for yourself, but imagine that you need to serve and produce more products, then you need to scale. And what we decided to scale is to build like a small farm, and we're building a factory of 3D printers. It's going to be a distributed factory, so it means that there's going to be 3D printers here in Prague, some in Brno, in Berlin, in Budapest, and people will be able to make, we're going to be able to produce locally. You're not going to have to ship, okay? I have some applications to show you what is interesting, what we can do with 3D printing, and for large-scale production, what are what's the major stuff that's being built with 3D printers. Glasses are a very good example where people are building applications online where you can choose and you can customize, you can pick your glasses, you can change the size, you can put some text or anything. 3D printing enables you with mass customization, so you're gonna be able to create the products as you wish. This is the team. These two guys are from our Makers Lab, and Machina, it's his nickname. He had a pair of the glasses, and he 3D modeled the lens actually, and he 3D modeled the frames around it and printed it for himself. And then he created another glass for his colleague, and for me it's amazing that you can do this with a machine that you have on your desktop. The only disadvantage is what I realized: would I be able to manufacture a glass like this? And I answered, well, no. Why is that? Because I don't know how to 3D model very well. So in order to be creative in 3D printing, you will have to be able to do the 3D modeling and to learn how to 3D model. So now I'm back to the parallel with Commodore 64. I was trying to do some little programming, right? So with 3D printers, what I'm doing now, I'm trying to learn how to do 3D models so that I can come up with stuff like this, and I can do my own designs and be creative. I can also go to websites where I just download stuff and print for myself, but that doesn't spark the creativity that I want. Now, this is a medical application that's being used, the inner hearing aids. Like if you have like a hearing disability, you can you put a hearing aid into your ear so that you hear well. These are being manufactured with 3D printers today. They scan your inner ear, and there's millions and millions of hearing aids being manufactured per year. So this is an example of a large-scale manufacturing with 3D printing that already exists, but a lot of people just don't know. Another one is braces. They take a scan of your mouth, And there's a company that is producing like a series of different braces for you, so that in a week it shifts your teeth a little bit, then you change it for another one, so you have like 10 customized braces for you to use for the next 2 or 3 months. That's also amazing because it's all customized. So anything that can be created for your body, because we're all different, it's very customizable, and it's very nice to start producing with 3D printing, to have a best fit. We were trying to print some shoes from flexible plastic materials. We're experimenting. It's good for ladies, but if we want bigger sizes, we need bigger printers. So for now, we're just printing shoes for ladies, and we're gonna have to develop. At the moment, the plastic is still, it's an experiment. It's still not wearable that you would just take it and walk in it, because it's quite hard. But they will come up with new materials and new things. And I'm thinking right now to produce small shoes for my son, and see like flip-flops. Whether it's going to work or not, we'll see. Try. There's also insoles. That's also an interesting thing, that you take a picture or a scan or a picture, 3 pictures of your foot, and you can have your own insole that's made for you to fit. Now I want to tell you about the marketplaces that exist already online, and what they provide. If you are a 3D modeling guy or a girl, you can open a store online and offer your products to the public, and they can buy, pay for it, and then it's manufactured and shipped to you. Okay, it's not decentralized yet, these kind of marketplaces, but it's starting to be very interesting. And for me, this is amazing, because in order to have something like this, you just need a database, and you need the 3D printers. I'm also comparing this model to the Google Play Store or the App Store on your iOS. If you are a programmer, you can program a new game or your new software for your phone. You just publish it on the store, and then you let people to buy it, and they can download it. And this basically is pretty much the same thing. If you're a 3D modeling guy, you can do a 3D model and then just publish it and let people buy it. This is a picture where it's printed on desktop printers. And that's like a new thing that you can print from many colors. So in one layer, as you can see, in one layer, you're able to print up to 4 different colors on the printers that we have. And I want to show you here with this picture that it's also evolving, right? We were used to have prints that were only one color. And now it's shifting. I think the future is color printing. So the printer in the future is going to be able to print with all sorts of colors. At the moment, we're with 4 colors. This is also interesting, because some people are saying, well, why would I need colors? And I say, oh, look at it. Why not? It's a natural evolution of the prints. And if I show you this in 1 color and this in 4 colors, it's a huge difference, right? I don't remember how this guy is called, but is it Mignon? This one? Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, okay. So this is the future, and hopefully right now with the color prints, it's still kind of slower than regular prints, but I think that's going to be solved as well in the future. So hopefully we're going to be as fast with color prints as we are with one color prints. Thank you for listening, and do you have any questions? I'll repeat your question. Yeah, yeah.
Hello, hello.
Yes.
Okay. What's your take on the increasing? It's like 3D printing started a lot as being an open source thing, and now it's getting closed source.
Yes.
A lot. You know,
Yes.
MakerBot and all
Yes.
other companies. They're getting bought by bigger companies, like the big players that had the 3D printing all the time.
Yes.
So what's your take on that?
It's funny because if you look at the manufacturing, like on the whole manufacturing, right?
Yeah.
Even the big players in 3D printing, if you see from the whole perspective of manufacturing, are very small fish, okay? Just the perspective. And these are buying, you know, even the smaller that are. But the interesting thing about open source, and I like open source, and I hope they will be more and more open source printers, or they will continue to be open source. We are working with open source printers. And the desktop printers started because a patent expired of one of the big professional printers. And that was the initial explosion of the 3D printers themselves, right? The technology is 30 years old, but only 6 or 7 years ago, the desktop printers started. And only like automotive was using 3D printing for rapid prototyping. They even didn't call it 3D printing. It was called rapid prototyping, rapid manufacturing. And it was used for prototypes, mainly for cars or airplanes and these kind of stuff. And then the desktop 3D printers came, the open source printers, open source hardware and open source software, and that enabled people to build their own machines and to start forking the machines and create their own types of machine. One of the very popular machines is the Prusa i3 3D printer. Yeah, we are working with them as well, so they're good printers. And it's still open source, even the latest one that was announced a week ago, it's the i3 MK3, I think. And I think, for me, it's I think the open source 3D printers will remain, and they will definitely remain in makers labs and in the places where you want to scale, where you need more and more printers because the cost of the printers is lower. In terms of user interface or usability, some manufacturers went to closed source. The reason is that according to them, they are protecting their investment into development.
Yeah, that's my point. We have to wait another 30 years, so the patent is
Yes.
and then we move on. The thing is, even
Use the microphone.
The open source movement is slowing down. It is. If you don't see it, I see it. It's like the new Prusa, but where's the others? It's like,
well, there is.
I see even people are close sourcing like everything. They're not sharing like they were like five years ago or 6 years ago. So that's my concern.
I see your concern. There's less and less, but what I see is, and what I like about the open source printers is, if you patent stuff, it's, for me, the old school thinking. It's the old world. I will patent it in order, and the state or some authority will give me a certificate that only I have the right to use this kind of technology, and others only if I sell it to them, or I can sue them.
Yeah.
With the open source printers, I like the stuff that there's no barrier, right? There's no barrier of entry. If you want, you can start producing your own printers. You just fork it, and if you're good enough, you will succeed in the market. If you decide to, develop a printer and put it on the market and go on. And I think if it's open source, it's a harsh environment, and only the best will survive. And it's guaranteed, because only the best stuff will go through. With patents, it's not this way, because you are protected by an authority because you were first, maybe even you were not first, but it was granted to you, so you have like a protection of 20, 30 years or whatever to do your stuff, even though there's better guys, even though there's guys that can do it faster, cheaper, and so it doesn't make sense, right? That's why I think it's old school. I think open source and sharing and this kind of stuff, it's cryptocurrencies are also open, right? It's all open source. I can see companies opening also their products. So I see the future of any product will be open source. Why? Because we can trust it, and we have the freedom to modify it if we want to. Any other questions?
I've seen like a year ago some presentation on TED where they used some 3D printers using ultraviolet light and some hardening glue, which was really fast and very precise. Do you have experience with that?
Thanks for your question. Yes, it's a 3D printer that's using laser, and that's a hardening liquid. And this kind of printer was supposed to be 10 times faster than the other SLA stereolithography printers, but it has limitations on the types of materials you can print out of. Okay, so it has certain use cases that you can use it for, and it's good for, but it cannot be used for other stuff. And there's more, this was a desktop example of a desktop 3D printer, and there's more printers, professional printers that are coming that are also like an order of magnitude faster than the previous version. So we're definitely shifting into more, into faster printers and into like volume manufacturing, right? It's not going to be like just one thing, but you can scale. We are scaling with the number of printers. But if you make printers faster and quicker, you can scale this way as well. Did I answer your question? Was it?
I was just wondering if we're gonna get this Star Trek, 3D printer, like you go there and just say, okay, I want this.
I think that's the ultimate 3D printer. That's the starter replicator, that you come to a machine. It doesn't have to be called a 3D printer anymore. Maybe they will, it will be renamed or something. But the ultimate thing, imagine you have in your bedroom, you have only a machine, a replicating machine. And when you wake up in the morning, you will just select in the menu the kind of clothes you want to put on. And you push a button and it will manufacture your clothes. So maybe it will be one day, but who knows? It also means that the value of things, the value of anything will go down, will decrease, because you will be able to manufacture almost anything.
That one is a closed source, isn't it? That printer is closed source, isn't it? That one, yeah.
Hello. Do you think, let's say, a company like Apple would ever use a 3D printer to, produce iPhone or MacBooks or anything like that? And if so, in what kind of a time frame are we talking?
So companies like Apple or Samsung, they are using 3D printers now for prototyping, okay, for building their prototypes. It's being used for years already. But for production of end parts, like the phones that we have in our pockets, it's going to take a while. I don't think, because there's electronics inside, and there's all kind of different materials. You know, you have glass, you have chips.
I would just say the chassis, like the aluminum chassis.
Just the chassis, well, you can create a cover, not a chassis, but I can see it could come. The other question is, does it make sense to create it with 3D printing? Why? Because if you're building high volumes of the same thing, it doesn't make sense economically to do it with 3D printing. The cost of one thing in 3D printing is the same. The cost of something, for example, a phone cover, if you create one, or if you create 1,000 pieces or 1 million pieces, the cost of one will be the same in additive manufacturing, 3D printing. But with conventional technologies, the cost of one is very high, and the cost of the millionth, if you build 1 million of them, then it's very low. So economically, it doesn't make sense these days. Maybe if the printers, if it starts shifting so that the intersections of these two lines are, in millions, then it will make sense, but it will take a long time, I think. I don't see it now. Depending on what you want to do, there's special applications where 3D printers, because you're adding material layer by layer, you can do special geometries that are impossible to manufacture with CNC. So imagine lattice structure, like a metal lattice structure, lightweight, strong, for example, for aerospace industry. So this is something very, very interesting. But new designers, designers will have to come up with these kind of solutions. Or you can start designing things with a computer algorithm. So you just put constraints, for example, what kind of strength you are applying from which directions and what kind of shape you want to have, and then apply a generative algorithm that creates the shape. So it's not created by a man, but by a computer. And 3D printing can create any of these shapes, or almost any of these shapes. So it depends. Sometimes CNC and 3D printers can be competitors. Sometimes there are scenarios that it doesn't make sense. The advantage of a 3D printer comparing to CNC, as I see it now, is that with 3D printer, you don't need any setup. You don't have to change the machine in order to create one day shoes and another day a hearing aid or a bracelet or anything. You just send another file into it. With CNC, you have to do some preparation works and so on.
I think to maybe further answer your question, there are some things, because 3D printing as with many technologies, we're very excited about it and we think it's going to take over a lot of things. But there will always be a place for traditional manufacturing methods. For example, even when we get to metal 3D printing, we're never going to exceed the mechanical properties that you can get out of a forging. It's just that you will never achieve that. I am very sure about that. Based on material density and grain flow. But with that said, I think it is important for us to explore these technologies and see how we can, as you said, decentralize manufacturing.